Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pacific Pokemon Podcast, where we talk about, you guessed it, Pokemon, with a focus on VGC. Before we get into the episode today, please do us a huge favor and click that subscribe button, like the video, maybe even drop a comment. It helps us a lot to grow and improve, and we're really looking on finding out ways that we can improve what we offer to you guys, our community. So thanks so much for coming by and stopping by. Click those buttons. Anyway, I'm Lindsay, and my Pokemon choice this week is Heatran. I've been doing a lot of research on Heatran in particular, and am coming to accept the fact that Heatran is indeed the best grass type in Regulation D.
I'm Bambi, and my favorite Pokemon this week is Tyranitar, and that's because Sand is completely overlooked in this rule set.
I have to agree there. Definitely.
But what a tragedy it is that the best grass type isn't even a grass type Pokemon.
Absolutely. What a meta where the
Like-
best grass type is Terra Grass.
Like, maybe we don't go with adding a Flash Fire grass type next gen, but like maybe we get like a Mega Venusaur clone with Thick Fat.
That would be
That could be nice.
phenomenal. I feel like Mega Venusaur had a very strong niche that it fit into, and I feel like we definitely could use something like that. A grass type
Yeah.
that's actually able to tank just hits. That also
Mhm.
isn't named Amoonguss. Because
Yes,
let's be
a
real,
grass
everybody's tired of Amoonguss.
A grass type not named Amoonguss would be great.
A competitive grass type.
Oh man. Yes, please give us better grass type. So that
Here
way,
we go.
In,
I got you one.
yeah.
Terra Grass Tyranitar.
Terragrass Tyranitar, not as good as Terragrass Heatran though.
No, it's not. But it does still get ground resistance, so I mean that's helpful in some manner.
Yeah, having the immunity is cool, but it's not where it's at in my opinion. I'm more of a Terra Flying type
Terra
of
Flying,
Tyranitar
yeah.
player.
I can agree there. To you, our viewer, what's your favorite Pokemon right now, and why? Let us know in the comments. Your favorite could get featured in next week's discussion. For all you team builders as well out there, stick around to the end of the show for some exciting and helpful calcs. Check out our Discord if you want to share your own too. We're looking to improve our communication with you guys, so let us know. We're interested. We'll talk about it.
Use the link in the description.
Yes, links are in description. In this episode, by the way, we're briefly going to cover some recent tournaments and events before going in depth into all the new Pokemon that came out in Regulation D and how they've been performing so far in the current meta. So, 4 tournaments, recent tournaments. We've got one major tournament recently that we really wanted to discuss, and that's going to be one that you participated in. Excuse me. Bambi, you participated in this as well, right?
Yeah, the Nino's Friendly Fight 72.
Yeah, happened just yesterday and today, correct?
Yep, that'd be the one.
And now
I was running Cresselia Ursaluna Trick Room team, supported by Gudra, Hisui Gudra, and Hisui Arcanine.
okay.
With Hatterene as my other Trick Room setter, and my ace being a Power Bracer Terra Flying Tyranitar. And I
Power
originally wanted to,
Bracer. Huh.
yeah. So the reason why is because even though it has that really awkward 61 speed stat,
Yep.
the way the math works when you have that speed stat when it's at base minimum, it is technically 1 stat point slower than Amoonguss. So in Trick Room,
Huh.
you can see a Moongus and Terraflying Terra blast it in the face.
Interesting.
Hmm.
But then outside
And
of Trick Room, you're kind of effed, right?
yeah, yeah. Outside of Trick Room, you are kind of F. Um, Fun fact about my Tyranitar I brought this week, I didn't realize this till this morning. I accidentally didn't use all its stats. My Tyranitar I brought in game, I didn't save before finishing out giving it its medicine, and I had like 160 stat points remaining on my Tyranitar that I never used. Um,
Well, I guess
uh,
it's good that you didn't use it.
Um, well, it actually didn't really come into play too much for me.
Yeah,
Most of the time,
guess that's good.
that 160 was all going to go into special defense for me.
Okay.
And yeah, because the spread on my Tyranitar is 244 HP, 92 adamant, 12 defense, and then the rest in special bulk with min speed and a brave nature. Um, it's running I only run that much attack investment on it, mostly because this set is designed to um, help other Pokemon where they could only pick up a 2-hit KO, get all the way there. Um,
Kind of
so
fill in the gaps.
Yeah, kind of fill in the gap, especially with the coverage to
Mm-hmm.
being able to have access to a stab crunch and a low kick too was really nice to have. Crunch was really good against opposing Cresselia. And I also didn't invest a whole lot of attack because on any of my team here, um, well, I guess I did, but like for um, my main my main two supporters of like my
Mm-hmm.
wall support that I got going with the Hoodra, um, was basically all Calcs to be able to pick up 2-hit KOs under Trick Room with sand chip damage.
Nice.
One of my favorite modes about this team is doing a Cresselia Arcanine Leap. Um, Basically, what I do with that is I kind of get a pseudo Chien-Pao Dragonite out of it with a helping
Yeah.
hand
Okay.
Terranol at E speed instead to give it, and it's a choice band Arcanine too.
Yep.
And I
Get
went
that
and
extra damage.
yeah, and that helping hand actually helped it out more in regard, in my opinion, um, than having a Chien-Pao protecting or trying to stay alive next to a Dragonite.
Nice.
Um, yeah,
I mean,
so
definitely it helps to have some bulk on your side there.
and I'm running my Arcanine's 252 HP, 252 Adamant, 4 defense. And I went 252 because it really does need every bit. In my opinion, I think Arcanine, like C-Suite Arcanine on this team, just really needed to live as many hits as possible. And needed to do everything it could to just not be O-code by fighting moves.
Yeah.
From
Like a close combat from Urshifu.
Yep, close combat from Urshifu, Drain Punch, or close combat from Iron
Iron
Hand.
Hands. Yep.
Um, I wasn't able to basically ever live the Iron Hands close combat, but luckily nobody's running close combat on Iron Hands anymore,
Not right now, at least. No.
so I didn't
Definitely
worry
fallen
about
off.
that. So I basically was always so I could go for picking up KOs um, on Arcanine living in the yellow after even a stab fighting hit.
That's actually pretty
Um,
impressive.
Yeah, actually Cresselia Arcanine was my primary Urshifu answer,
Okay.
and just because Arcanine always kills the Urshifu.
Yeah. Nice.
With the E speed, and it forces it all into using only one move, which is Surging Strikes, because that Intimidate drop makes it so close combat isn't going to be
True.
OHKOing. And Surging Strikes at neutral damage isn't OHKOing Arcanine or Cresselia.
Yeah.
So usually
And Terra
the best
normal
bet,
on the Arcanine?
yeah, and so
Yeah.
people's best bet and what would happen every single time I'd run into a Urshifu would be they would Terra Dark or Terra Water just to try and put in a secret KO into Cresselia, because that's usually their best option. But at that point, Arcanine's either taken out OHKO'd the partner, usually a Tornadus or a Thundurus. Even the bulky Thundurus I was able to OHKO with the Terra Normal E-Speed, which was really nice. I didn't run into a whole lot of problems. The only problem I ran into with damage rolls was E-Speed wasn't picking up certain KOs on like opposing Dragonite, and
That
if they
makes
were
sense though.
super bulky Dragonite in like that E-Speed mirror matchup, they have a little bit more pressure, but it's a roll for Arcanine to OHKO the Dragonite.
Inner focus
When it's,
Dragonite, I assume.
yeah.
Yeah.
If they're multi-scale, the Intimidate stops the matchup right there, and Arcanine wins.
Yeah, because then you just go for like Head Smash or whatever instead, or Rock Slide, and just chip away at them because they've already lost their attack output.
Usually at that point, if they're multi-scale, sometimes I don't even Terra.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll just go for Rock Slide, Moonblast.
Yeah, Moonblast with the crest too. That's a good call. Break the multi-scale and then follow up with a
And
strong special move.
Terra Fairy Moonblast
Nice.
after the Rock Slide pops the multi-scale, and usually that's enough in that regard.
Yeah, that's
to
pretty
get
solid.
through things. Yeah, I haven't run into a whole lot of AV Dragonite multi-scale stuff to really worry about it. But when I see those AV Paranormal multi-scales, like they're just not putting out enough damage to really make Cresselia worry enough. So that's my option with that mode. Tyranitar and Goodra together, especially AV Goodra, is what I'm running. 244 HP, 252 defense, more than the other stats with a quiet nature, so min speed, with a special attack boost there. And it's a mixed attacker, so it's got heavy slam,
I was
body
just
press,
about to ask.
and Ice Beam and Dragon Pulse.
Ice Beam, Dragon Pulse, huh?
With
not running
AV.
Draco Meteor.
I thought about I wanted to run Draco Meteor, but I built this team with Sho and Fonzie from the Discord.
Okay, yeah.
And Fonzie's idea was the Goodra, and he put Dragon Pulse on there. I'm definitely a drop a Draco type of gal.
Right.
And but Dragon Pulse was the thing was like the Dragon Pulse was the main calc for that hip damage.
Fair enough.
And everything else is basically coverage. So like Urshifu,
yeah.
Dragon Pulse twice, stand tip damage, win.
Solid.
And usually it would work out really well, actually, to where I could go in with a Tyranitar and a Cresselia lead. Swap out Tyranitar and bring in Hisui Goodra into things like Flutter Mane TU. Which ended up happening once in this tournament, and it goes hard. It's really hard to stop Goodra. Heavy Slam, Oko's,
Almost all
Flutter
Flutter
Mane,
Mane.
almost all Flutter Mane, and Body Press will Oko every non-Terra goes to you.
Yeah, or Sash, obviously, but like
Or Stash, but yeah.
the
And this is
item that
also,
prevents you from getting OHKO doesn't count, right? That's
no, it
always
does
a
not.
factor.
Especially not with sand tip damage being a factor.
Also true. Yeah. Sandstorm
Um,
is really solid, and I do agree it's very overlooked
it
right
stops
now.
you and it stops Jan Pao. And really right now there aren't a whole lot of other focus fast users.
The
Um,
occasional Flutter, maybe, but
occasional flutter.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I'm running Sap Stepper. It was actually kind of crazy being able to have Sap Stepper on this team and safety goggles on Cresselia, and then Magic Bounce with Hatterene. Amoonguss was not gonna stop any Trick Room.
3 Pokemon
Uh,
immune to Amoonguss, huh?
and if anything, it was going, yeah, 3 Pokemon immune to Amoonguss, um, and 2 Amoonguss killers, and then Ursaluna, which just doesn't care about any Pokemon standing in front of it unless it's a Ghost type.
Yeah,
Um,
that's funny. Gotta love that, honestly. But anyway,
you really,
in
yeah,
that
you really
tournament,
do.
sorry, go ahead.
Um, and one notable thing, some people did ask some questions about it after the fact from the Discord. We got iPet Bigfoot was wondering why I was running Wise glasses. He'd never seen Wise glasses used before, really. So what Wise glasses does is it pulls their special attacks have 1.1 times power. So it's not increasing their stat by 1.1. It's increasing that damage of like a dazzling gleam. Is multiplying that 80 base power by 1.1.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit different of a damage calc, and it just applies to everything. I was running Heal Pulse on my Hatterene too, with Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, Trick Room. The Heal Pulse was essentially there to make Goodra impossible to kill.
Of course.
Um, and but the biggest thing for Hatterene here was the magic bounce, being able to um, lead that Cresselia, um, bluff that turn one, the turn one trick room,
Hmm.
swap into Hatterene into that flop, magic bounce the back onto Tornadus with Thunderous, um,
Yeah.
and then end the game out right from there, just about.
At the end of the day, how did you perform in the tournament in Nino's
Uh,
72?
at the end of the day, I went 4-4 in draw. I wanted to do all of my games, but I was just so tired by the end of that. For us over here on the West Coast, it started at 6 a.m. And I only got like 4.5 hours of sleep the night before because I was up all night still getting things prepped right. And even then, I messed up the Tyranitar still. Um,
Fair, yeah.
um, yeah, so I went 4-4 and dropped. I think I could have maybe went 5-4, but at worst I would have gone 4-5, and that's about as well as I've done at any regional. Um,
Fair enough. And for this
so
tournament, there was 264? 264
yeah,
competitors, I
264
believe.
players. Yeah, those are pretty
Which is
big
really big,
tournament.
yeah.
Shout out to Hammy Turner for being one of the sponsors for that. He was there during the Nemo stream and was tuning in and was a great guy to help keep
Nice,
everybody
nice.
entertained and support the what Nino's doing.
I think it's
I
fantastic.
talked to him a little bit. There might be a sponsorship for me coming from Hammy Turner in the future. I offered to wear his face on a T-shirt to regional events, and we'll see where it goes from there. We're still in talks. They're still in talks, but it might happen. We'll see.
Alrighty. In terms of other coverage on the event, congratulations to Velocity for winning this tournament, winning the 72nd friendly fight of Nina Pokebros. He won this tournament with Farigiraf, Tornadus, Regidrago, Urshifu, Goldengo, and Rillaboom. Definitely an interesting team here. Regidrago popping up again now. I like to see the Regidrago popping up, but I also... It's kind of interesting, you know, and I feel like we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go into the new Pokemon listings in a little bit here. But pretty standard team. Trick Room Imprison with the Farigiraf, Fairy Terra, basically just the counter Trick Room and counter Priority at the same time. Tornadus being the Tailwind on their side with the Regidrago, and Rapid Strike Urshifu's Scarf on this guy, featuring the U-turn for some fast priority or high-speed switches and momentum. Synergizes really well with the U-turn on the Rillaboom as well. And then a Life Orb Goldengo, which you don't see the Life Orb too often on the Goldengo, but I can understand why they're using it here. Definitely a good way to increase the damage without getting locked into a specific move.
Mm-hmm. You don't always need to be going for those choice items. There's a lot of Pokemon that have perfectly fine stats that don't necessarily need that extra 2% or 20% bump to damage.
Yeah, definitely agree there. Coincidentally, if you look at number 2, that is a mirror match. We're looking at, once again, Regidrago, Tornadus, Goldengo, Rapid Strike Urshifu, Rillaboom, and Farigiraf. The exact same 6 core, this time though with a choice specs on the Goldengo, Sash on the Tornadus, and still once again the Scarf on Urshifu. So a little bit different here that with the choice specs instead of the Life Orb.
Wait.
But
what do we got going here? There's a U-turn on? Does the other one have U-turn on Urshifu too?
They do indeed. Both of them are running a choice Scarf, Rapid Strike Urshifu with Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, U-turn.
My last match of the day, and my last 2 matches of the day, there was crazy amounts of swaps. There were so many pivots going around in this tournament. And I really think a lot of that just comes down to we're seeing those Pokemon that are able to utilize U-turn well come back.
True. I mean, Landorus is another one of those as well, who's a very big U-turner in the current meta. You know, we've got Rillaboom, Urshifu, and Landorus all being big U-turn users currently.
Yep.
Which just facilitates additional Pokemon like Regieleki with Volt Switch to do the same exact thing in that U-turn Volt Switch combo. That's existed for years. One of the things that's different
is this is the choice spec trick Goldengo.
Yep. Versus the Life Orb with Protect. Having Protect, I feel like, is useful on that Life Orb Goldengo, you know?
Yep. But the thing is being able to swap choice specs onto a support Pokemon.
Indeed.
Is just, it shuts stuff down completely.
Thankfully, though, both of these teams don't really have much of support Pokemon.
No, not really.
You look at that and, like, I guess
the things that you would like want to potentially stop with choice specs are Pokemon that can just swap out and come back in and get mileage out of it.
Yeah, like Farigiraf or Tornadus will actually utilize that choice specs to do tons of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely don't want to give Regidrago choice specs.
No.
Unless you've already lowered its HP to very, very low. But even then, you're still giving it a free Draco Meteor boosted by choice specs, which that is a terrifying prospect.
Yeah.
It's incredibly dangerous. I definitely think it's interesting that there's a mirror matchup in the top two there. Going into the third team by Sven VGC here, we've got the classic Fluttermane Chi-Yu combination with Landorus, Grimmsnarl, Amoonguss, and Iron Hands. Going right on back to Regulation C. Coming in third place. C place.
This is a team. Yeah, it's a C place. Yeah, this is a team that I was actually looking at potentially running. Just about. I was really wanting to figure out a Flutter TU team.
Yeah.
With Lando instead of the Gyarados, like what I used in Regulation C.
It's Reg C with a Lando added in. Reg C with a little genie.
Yeah, Reg C with everybody's favorite cat.
Flying ground cat, Landorus Therian.
Yeah, but there's no fake out here.
Nope, it's a full screens Grimmsnarl and Sword Stance Iron Hand. Interesting. Drain Punch, Wild Charge, Sword Stance, and Protect. Definitely a standard.
Safety Goggles with Terra Water.
Terra Water. Wow. The Urshifu countering is strong here.
Yes, it is.
That's exactly what that is built for. To take a Surging Strikes and say, F you.
Or take a Wicked Blow and say, F you.
Yeah. Alright. Well. Interesting. Iron Hands set. Terra Water. I don't think I've seen that before yet, popping up in the meta on Iron Hands. I've seen it on the Fluttermane, sure, but Hands is different. Neat.
Yep, very different.
Did you want to go over the fourth place team?
Fourth place, let me get to it real quick.
Got another interesting one here for sure.
Yeah, by Pato, right?
Yeah.
So this one is oh man, this is running the Stelter Body Press Heavy Slam. He's doing Gudra. With leftovers on top of the Grassy Surge from the Rillaboom. I assume that this Hisuian Gudra is like 252 HP, 252 defense.
Probably maybe something like that. Or it might actually be high HP, high special defense invested, banking on, getting that shelter boost.
That's true too.
Yeah. Interesting team, though. With a classic Cantonian Arcanine thrown in there. Gotta love that face still showing up. Holding its own somehow, Safety
and
goggles.
It's not doing anything new.
No, nothing new whatsoever. Snarl, Will-O-Wisp, Flare Blitz, and Protect with Terra Water and Safety Goggles. It's a classic Cantonian Arcanine. Welcome back to Gen 1 Remake.
One thing I'm a little bit confused about with this team is, like, I am wondering what a Terra Ghost is doing on Gastrodon here. Why is it trying to stop fighting type in normal?
It's not trying to stop normal type moves. It is a whole full single Pokemon Urshifu FU.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the turn that you're gonna get close combated, you turn Terra Ghost.
Yep. It can 1v1 Urshifu.
It makes sense because it can't click Surging Strikes into it.
Yep. Because it will only make you stronger by clicking Surging Strikes or Aqua Jet, so you Terra Ghost, and then voila, now it can't hit you whatsoever. It's the only thing I can think of that makes any sense anyway.
One of the cool things,
or too, also to avoid... No, because you don't avoid Prankster. You would just avoid...
No.
I guess you avoid Perish Trap as well?
No, but you can't run Perish Trap in this rule set. Gothitelle doesn't have the bulk for it anymore.
Not really.
The power creep is too high.
I mean, you can run Perish Song, but you just can't really run the trap aspect to it. You just run the song and use that for pressure. alongside offensive Pokemon, more or less. Like a Fluttermane with Perish Song, alongside Screamtail with Perish Song, alongside like a Azumarill also with it, and you just spam click it and force your opponent to always be switching.
Yeah, I think it works that way, but I've never seen it work that way.
Doesn't work well that way, that's for sure. It can work against the right opponent, but it does not execute with any level of consistency that way.
Airstone works well when you can get two Pokemon KO'd really fast and win in 3 turns after that.
Pretty much, yeah. That's where it works best.
So if you're able to get like a Fluttermane, Dazzling Gleam, double KO with Spew next to it, like a booster, or a Pixie Plate, and you can go for like Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam, pick up a couple KOs, and then click Perish Song next turn, then Protect, and you win the game.
True.
Because you just have your opponent pinned. But yeah, you can't really run the trap. And that's really the only time that you need that ghost typing is for the trap, not for the song.
Yeah.
Ghost type can still hear the song.
Yep. It's just the trap, which doesn't really happen too much nowadays, so not too much to worry about there. It also probably works as a pretty decent Ursaluna counter. Being immune to the Facade, which is Ursaluna's strongest move.
I clicked Facade into 2 Gastrodon yesterday.
Yep, I totally believe that. Yeah.
And yes, it OHKO'd both times.
Of course. Gastrodon's not incredibly bulky. It just has a really good ability and a solid typing to go with it. And enough bulk and move pool to really just facilitate that.
Yep.
But let's move into the newly available Pokemon in Regulation D. Now, we're coming up to the end of the month here, and Worlds is just under 2 weeks away. So, if you haven't figured out your team for Worlds yet, for anybody going, now is the time to do so.
Now is the time to be worried.
Now is the time to have your team set and be fine-tuning it to be prepared for the tournament. So with today's episode, hopefully by the end of the episode, you will have determined what new Pokemon you do or don't want to use and how to handle them so that you can handle Worlds a little bit better.
If not Worlds, just next month.
True. Regulation D continues on for a little while longer. And in next week's episode as well, casual shout out to next week, we will have Pikalytics analytics for the first official month of Regulation D tournaments and events that we can go over. And so we will have all sorts of juicy information right before we get into Worlds. So stay tuned for that for everybody who's preparing for that big tournament or any other tournaments online upcoming.
So first Pokemon we got going down the list. I think we should probably just go in numerical order.
I completely agree. Starting from the top of that list, best way to go.
And let's only talk about pre-evolutions if they're relevant.
Yeah, only if it's something like Porygon 2, a relevant pre-evolution. Not here yet. But anyway.
The first one we got on our list is Charizard. Charizard's not doing anything it wasn't doing in Sword and Shield. It is sitting under Sun. And it is trying to do things that you can't, which is do the flying type move.
You know what else Charizard can do? Or the one thing that Charizard is doing that it wasn't doing in Sword and Shield?
What's that?
Terra Grass Solar Beam.
Oh, Terra Grass Solar Beam. That'll do it.
It's a lot of damage.
And if it's next to Rillaboom, you're getting. Oh man, we just cracked a code. Rillaboom. Yeah, there's our new grass type. Step aside, Heatran. We got Charizard coming in with Terra Grass Solar Beam in the grassy terrain.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's essentially it for Charizard. Do you have anything you really want to bring up about Charizard?
I mean, Charizard right now is in an interesting spot in the meta. You know, Chi-Yu is hands down better as a special fire type attacker than Charizard.
Mhm.
However, Chi-Yu is not immune to Earthquake, which Charizard is.
Mhm.
So Charizard has its benefits there. Outside of the sun, though, it doesn't necessarily do anywhere near enough damage to pull its weight. So it fits
No,
pretty well on sun teams, and that's about it. I believe it does
you
still get
do
access to
need to kind
Tailwind.
of, yeah, I think it does. Let me double check.
It does not get access to Tailwind anymore.
Nope, it does not. So yeah, this
Yeah,
you're really committing to an offensive Terra with this one.
indeed. Yeah, Charizard coming in, basically focused on doing a lot of damage. But I think there are just better fire type attackers out there right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if people aren't running Stealth Rocks, then Charizard isn't strong enough.
yeah. Next one down on the list, we've got the Alolan Raichu coming back now with Alolan and Cantonian, etc. variants that were not
I think I've
available
only
now being
seen
available.
I think I've only seen one Alolan Raichu team or rental code kind of out there. Um, I think it was maybe there's a couple, um, but Alolan Raichu isn't being used really at all.
No,
Um, it's got a really awkward typing.
it's fun.
In second, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but don't expect it to do what you can get your Cantonian one to do, which is I'm pretty sure this one cannot fake out. Right?
Um, I don't
Oh,
recall
it
off
can
the
fake
top of my
out.
head. Yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna
it
say I think
can.
it can,
Okay.
but because I think Pikachu learns Fake Out, and therefore both evolutions of
That's
Pikachu
true.
would be able to use
Okay,
Fake
yeah.
Out.
Okay. I was sure. Oh, I was thinking about. I forgot that Third Surfer is electric tree, not psychic tree.
Yeah, yep. And that's what's neat about Raichu or Cantonian or Alolan. Jeez, Alolan Raichu specifically is that it can do well in multiple terrains. It can perform well in psychic terrain and in electric terrain. I think outside of electric terrain, though, it's a very niche Pokemon. It has one of the fastest fake outs in the meta. However, Sneasler being around kind of makes that pretty null and void in general. And
Mhm.
yeah, as long as Sneasler is around, nothing is going to be able to outspeed that in terms of fake out pressure.
In
And
my opinion, I think that just means that we're not going to be seeing a Alolan Raichu just because it's being outclassed.
yeah,
Uh,
I think Cantonian
and what it
Raichu's
wants to
better
do.
now
And if
because
you
at
want
least
an
it has
elect-
Lightning Rod
and if you want an electric type, you should use Zapdos
or Regieleki.
or Regieleki.
Yeah.
I think Zapdos is better though.
I mean, both has their kind of benefits. You know, Regieleki kind of being one of the
Fastest
best in
Pokemon in the
speed
game.
control, but
Yeah.
just because of its insane speed stat and Electro Whip. But we'll get back to Regieleki. Next
We
one
will.
on the list.
Alolan Doug Trio.
Yep. Is anybody using a Alolan Doug Trio? If you're using a
There are.
Alolan Doug Trio, send me a team.
If you're using a Alolan Doug Trio, please tell us how to use tangling hair well. Please tell me. Please tell
Tangling
me
hair
how
is a weird ability.
if you don't know what tingling hair does, lowers the opponent's speed stage by 1 when an opponent makes a physical contact move with that Pokemon.
Doesn't fit
It's
on Doug
so
Trio's
weird.
stat distribution specifically. Like, that's the hard part of that one.
I mean, it really just does not. Alolan Doug Trio has a base 35 HP comboed with a base 50 defense. This
Mm-hmm.
thing is physically way less
Frail.
bulky than Fluttermane.
It's very frail. Yeah. But it's kind of nice to have a ground steel type in the meta that's not Iron Treads, I guess. But if I really wanted that typing, I'm gonna just use Iron Treads. because Iron Treads actually has stats. So
So the cool thing where I think there is a niche is I think there's always a niche for Sandvale and Snowvale Pokemon.
fair
Um,
enough. Yeah, always some level of sneaky capability for the Sand Veil.
uh, uh, Evasion is in my opinion, it's not even a niche because there's not really anything else that quite does its job.
Yeah,
It's just a feature in a
yeah,
way,
and
or
it's
an
just,
archetype, or an archetype of a weather team.
I guess, yeah, it
Um,
would be more an archetype. It's just a very underused archetype in a sense, you know? The evasion
yeah,
strats.
and I mean that's because probability isn't perfect, and so
Yeah,
you can drop Pokemon to having like minus all the way,
yeah, give him a 10%
like
chance to connect, and all it
accuracy.
takes is one.
It Yeah, and even then, like I've given a Heatran -2 accuracy, and it was able to land 3 Heat Waves in a row into my Articuno,
Yep,
um, in a local
accuracy sucks.
back at Gambit, in
Ah,
Portland.
yep, one of
Yeah,
them locals. But yeah,
yeah, one of them locals. So I think that there's always a niche for evasion. So
true, true.
if you got a Doug Trio team and you also can't figure out how to make Tankle Tear work, send us something with Danville. I will appreciate it if Lindsay won't.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you make a Alolan Dugtrio work by any means whatsoever, whether you're using its ability or not, I don't care. You can make that Pokemon viable in a competitive VGC team, build it, and I'll use it. Uh, next up on the list, though, we've got Persian, and I'm also going to toss Berserker in there because it's basically the same thing as the regional variants of the Meowths. So the Galarian and Alolan Meowths and their evolutions, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
Alolan Persian, I think, is actually really neat coming back in with Fur Coat. And if I remember correctly, it does get access to Fake Out as well. So it has a
Mm-hmm.
fast Fake Out there. Fur Coat is an interesting ability that not many Pokemon get. So it's kind of neat that it has that unique ability that gives it a much better defense, having the damage from physical moves. Yeah,
One of the biggest things about this Pokemon too is that it gets um, stab foul play
true.
from, and its foul play is stronger than Murkrow's because it has a lower base attack than Murkrow.
Hmm.
So you're getting a better, faster, stronger foul play. If you want to use foul play, this is your cat.
True, true. All in all, Alolan Persian definitely an interesting pick. I haven't seen it much in the meta so far. I feel like it just isn't quite strong enough to
Mm-hmm.
really perform. Like it has a decent niche, but it doesn't do enough in the current meta. And that's
You
okay.
really got to find a way to give any Pokemon survivability when a Terra type happens.
Yeah. And when Fluttermane is so common, like dark types are not in the best position unless you're a dark
So,
steel or a dark fire type that can at least resist the fairy type
yep.
attacks alongside it. Next up,
Uh,
though,
yeah, Berserker, who we've seen have a rise in usage in the last week or so, next to Caesar,
and
using that,
Goldengo.
and Goldengo. I forget about that one too.
Yeah, Helping
Um,
Hand make it rain. Helping Hand boosted, Steely Spirit boosted, Steel Terra make it rain is kind of
that
actually insane.
that is busted. Add a choice specs on it, and you get more than double your damage out of it.
Yeah, that that is one of those attacks that just is absolutely insane. I actually have to question if that one hit KOs Chiyu.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But it's
Actually,
enough.
though, it's definitely enough because just Helping Hand and Steel Terra brings you to a 1% or a 1 roll chance of OHKOing. Adding Steely Spirit on top of that is definitely enough multiplier. That's a resisted 1-hit KO.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Berserker, fellas. So that's what Berserker does, everybody. It clicks Helping Hand next to a different Steel-type Pokemon, and it makes that Steel-type Pokemon go burr.
You can't kill Berserker with an E-Speed.
No, you can't kill it with E-Speed. It's definitely tanky enough to survive that, too.
Mm-hmm.
So Berserker's an interesting one. That's what it does. It is very one-sided, but kind of good.
I think it's underexplored. I think
Yeah.
I still call it a gimmick at the end of the day.
I think so. Because, a well-placed Heatran against that is just going to sit there and laugh for hours on end. Ha ha ha, Heat Wave, ha ha ha. It's just going to sit there and have a field day.
Yep.
Next up on the list. Yes, you take this one.
We got my boy. We got Hisuian Arcanine.
Yes.
What Hisuian Arcanine does way better than regular Arcanine. Regular Arcanine needs safety goggles if it wants to be in the sand with the boys. Hisuian Arcanine does not need safety goggles.
True, the special defense boost in sand is actually neat on that mon too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, one of my favorite things about it is just the fact that it has just high enough of an attack stat to get the job done.
It really does. 5 points higher is so much extra damage when it comes to actually getting 1-hit KOs versus 2-hit KOs.
Mm-hmm. I haven't used Raging Fury yet. It's I'm pretty sure that's a signature move for it, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's like a fire type outrage, basically.
Yeah, I haven't used that yet, but I kind of want to see where I can go with it in the future instead of clicking Flare Blitz.
I feel like Raging Fury might actually be really good. No. See, so the problem with Raging Fury is Heatran.
That's the problem with Outrage.
It's fairy types, but you get unlocked in the move.
Raging Fury, it's way worse to click a fire type move into Flash Fire than to take the immunity.
Because it's one thing to be immune to the damage, it's a whole nother thing to actually gain a damage boost from that immunity. That's but Hisuian Arcanine is good.
That I've used Hisuian Arcanine to do is it does a really great job at enabling Ice Teams because that Rock Fire type gives it a 4 times resistance to fire. So you can slap this Pokemon into your team, help take care of PU hits, suck up PU hits, and then you can also retaliate.
Yeah, you can soak up Heatran hits pretty well too, and if they don't Terra, you can actually probably pick up OHKOs. I mean, at least if you're running an banded Hisuian Arcanine or something, could probably pick up OHKOs on Heatran with Head Smash. Head Smash is actually a very strong move.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the other niches that Hisuian Arcanine fills that regular Arcanine does not. Reckless Head Smash.
What it will not do,
or Rockhead, I mean.
Hisuian Arcanine, what it will not do that regular Arcanine can do is play rough, and that's about it. Oh, and Charm.
The fairy things. Nice.
Yeah. It can't do the fairy. It cannot do the fairy things, but you don't really need the fairy things.
Yeah, no. I think Rockhead is actually a really niche hidden ability on that Pokemon too, with Flare Blitz and Head Smash. And Rockhead, that's phenomenal though. Being able to use that on both of your main high damage stabs, that's a really good synergy.
It's probably the best Rockhead user because of that.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's the only Rockhead user that can actually say that.
If they bring back Relicanth, and give it Wave Crash, then Relicanth would be able to say the same thing. Because Relicanth hasn't existed in a generation since Wave Crash became a move. Since Wave Crash is a Legends Arceus move, it doesn't exist yet. But Relicanth is a Water Rock type from Gen 3 with Rock Head and Head Smash. So if they give it Wave Crash as well, then theoretically at least, it would be able to do the same claim to fame of both my stabs I don't have to take recoil from because my ability is amazing. But yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of random trivia.
Man, Relicanth is a Pokemon that I wasn't expecting to talk about today.
Definitely not. Me neither, honestly.
I only knew that you needed it to get the Regis in Gen 3.
Yep. That's pretty much all anybody knows it for.
Moving on, we got Slowbro.
Yeah.
Galarian Slowbro. What's this thing doing? Nothing.
Nothing but a little bit of something. It's a different type Trick Room setter. A bit.
It's a bit different. It still gets own tempo.
Yep. Which makes it, if I remember right, immune to taunt.
It makes it immune to being confused.
Confusion and intimidate. Oblivious is the one that blocks taunt.
And that's
regular
Slowbro.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not gonna get usage out of Quick Draw.
Generally not. Yeah.
If you're trying to move first with this Pokemon every turn, you're only gonna get that 3 times up 10, and that's just not gonna happen in a Pokemon game.
Best of one only strat right here. Quick Claw on the Quick Draw.
Sure.
And just YOLO it. But legitimately best of one strat there. Galarian Slowbro didn't see a whole lot of usage in Sword and Shield either. And realistically, I don't think it's going to see much here. It can't compete anymore at this point. So cool to have another poison type, though, I guess, that can do some damage to fairies.
To the dark horse of Regulation D.
Right now, yeah, that's for sure.
We got Galarian Muck.
Alolan?
Oh, excuse me, Alolan. My bad.
Pretty sure it's Alolan Muck, right?
It is. Yeah, it's Alolan. I said the wrong one.
All good. I'm making sure that I'm not the one losing my mind over here too at the same time. Yeah, Alolan form. Yeah, Alolan Muck right now, a very interesting Pokemon in the meta. There's been some usage of it, and it's started to really take off. The Minimize strat I've actually seen get executed alongside Flamigos for Co-Star Minimize, which is toxic as heck, and anybody using that should be banned from competitive Pokemon, if you ask me. But Minimize is still a move, so here we are.
It's a really nice little detail about Minimize is Pokemon that minimizes. Heavy Slam will not have an accuracy check into a Pokemon that's minimized.
Heavy Slam doesn't have accuracy checks, really?
Not if it's minimized. No, it just hits.
Huh.
However, when Flamigo co-stars that minimize, it does not receive that same benefit because it did not minimize.
That's interesting. Because Minimize has its own internal code tag for it.
Yep. And Flamigo is only copying a stat, not a move.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's very interesting. The main thing that Alolan Muck does is it has really good defensive typing. The Poison Touch ability is actually really solid. Gluttony is good, and Power of Alchemy is ironically good in the right scenarios as well. I mean, if you time it correctly, you can copy really good abilities with Galarian Muck. Alolan Muck. See, now you've got me saying it's Galarian Muck. Galarian Wheezing is what we're both thinking about. I know that for sure.
That is exactly what we were thinking of.
But anyway, Power of Alchemy being an interesting ability that allows you to copy the ability of a defeated ally. Very weird, but in the right scenarios, I definitely can see that actually having its benefits. Generally speaking, though, this thing is just going to sit there, click knock off, click minimize, maybe click gunk shot, and just do consistent damage.
It's got drain punch.
Drain punch. Ah, that's right. This thing gets drain punch. Yep, and disable. Yeah, knockoff is the biggest reason to use it, all in all. Now, Hisuian Electrode. That one's up next. I like the face you're making there. It's definitely a niche pick. However, I did see it get a little bit of use with a loaded dice set as an interesting enabler to the Annihilate.
Yep,
yeah,
because you can go like
really fast, loaded dice.
Loaded dice bullet seed. You're basically giving it's a physical attacker that's weaker than Fluttermane's attack. It's only sitting at base 50.
Yeah, very low.
But it's got that crazy 150 speed.
Yep. Super fast. Plus, it also has Thunder Wave and whatnot to be able to actually help support the Annihilate after activating it with Bullet Seed too. So you can run some supporting moves along with it, Taunt and Thunder Wave, to kind of facilitate the Annihilate sweeping through the rest of the team. And it's actually immune to Spore, which is another niche. Immune to Spore and Rage Powder. So I think Hisuian Electrode is going to be one of the only ways to prevent an Amoonguss from redirecting Annihilape's activation. Right?
I think that's true.
Because, yeah, the only other major activators are like a Dragapult, maybe with Beat Up, or Mousehold, generally.
Where I think it's overlooked at, too, is I think it's overlooked as a range setter.
True. But I think it's overlooked for good reason. No offense to it. Tornadus and Thundurus exist.
So here's the thing: you can stop those ones, but you can stop those ones. It's the same way. What am I talking about? You're right.
It's Prankster Rain, and I mean, you can't stop Prankster Weather from going up other than Fake Out. Which,
True.
All of the above are weak to Fake Out, so... meh. But yeah, Hisuian Electrode, an interesting mon. Next is Cantonian Tauros. Why would you use Cantonian Tauros over Paldean Tauros? Next.
Articuno! Yay! Articuno.
But seriously, though, why would you use Cantonian Tauros? Like, the Paldean Tauros is just better.
Just to harp a little bit on evasion stuff, Snowcloak. There's a reason why it's illegal in Smogon. It's because people don't like it, because it's good.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's just what it comes down to. It's an archetype of weather. And one of the best things about Articuno in this generation is it does not have bad stats. It has a terrible typing.
Yeah, bad typing, but you can fix bad typing with Terra. So everything that had just a bad typing now this gen can fix that. So like Articuno can say, okay, I'm going to go Water Terra or Grass Terra-ish. I guess Grass would be kind of meh. Weak to fire still, but...
What it doesn't have anymore is it does not have access to Mind Reader, which guarantees the hit of its next move, so you can't get 100% accurate Spear Cold this generation.
Thank God for that.
You couldn't oh man, why God get rid of it, in my opinion.
Too good.
But you know what? I will absolutely 100% take being able to do Roost, Spear Cold, Roost, Spear Cold, Roost, Spear Cold.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's using it that way right now. Most people are using it for Blizzard spam. However, I
still
just want
good.
to throw out the fact that it does get haze as well.
That's true. Articuno is an interesting Pokemon for Haze. And while we're on the subject of Articuno, we obviously have to cover the Galarian form. Probably the best competitive user right now in the meta, in terms of the ability competitive, until we get Milotic, which is already shown to be coming in DLC. So, like, just wait for the frickin' fish, okay? Wait for the water snake and be competitive that way, you know? Or if you want to be really, really fun, run a competitive Gothitelle.
I can't wait for Marvel Scale.
Oh my goodness, Marvel Scale. Such a great ability, too. But yeah, Galarian Articuno is an interesting mon. I think it's in pretty much the same position it was in Sword and Shield, where it kind of has that niche of being a competitive, high base stat total Pokemon. So, like, if you accidentally give it its competitive boost, it can really pop off and do a lot of damage. As far as I know, it does not get access to any good spread moves, though, thus preventing it from really kind of sweeping through whole teams very quickly.
No, but it does get Trick Room and Tail Room. It gets
True.
Tail Room, Tailwind and Trick
It
Room.
is Tailwind and Trick Room. That's right.
So you can theoretically bring one setter to do both jobs.
This is true. Indeed.
It also
And
gets
it's
every weather.
pretty competitive as well, all in all, like stat-wise.
Yep.
So yeah, an interesting mon, definitely a sleeper pick right now. Make Galarian Articuno work for you. Because it could. Next up, we got, surprise, surprise, Zapdos!
Yeah, we got two. Zapatos. That's what I always name mine.
Jeez.
All you have to do is put an A in it. It's great. Zapdos is taking advantage of the fact that it can get rid of its only weakness, basically.
Yeah.
And that is to its flying type, so it can get rid of those ice and uh, rock type super effective hits by going into steel. Really easy, right there. And it already likes to be in the rain, so steel is a perfect fit for it. This is honestly like, I think like the way it works out for Cantoni and Zapdos, just with the amount of synergies it has with being able to Terra type, and its options with rain, it's just like, was Game Freak planning Terra type for like the last 20 something years? Because it seems
No
like
idea.
it was way too well thought out for Zapdos to be able to turn into a steel type.
I mean, I feel like Terra types has been kind of just a casual existing theoretical concept for a long time. Because all it is it's giving every Pokemon the ability to change their type once into a single other type.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not a complicated concept. It just is really useful, all in all, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Zapdos right now getting a lot of usage as like a Rocky Helmet bulky static, I mean, spreader, kind of to counter the Urshifus once again. Surprise, surprise, counter Urshifu, because it's everywhere. But being able to paralyze Urshifu and do a lot of damage to it with the Rocky Helmet is pretty cool.
One of the other neat things about it too is it is a taunt user.
Oh yeah.
And
good Tailwind and Roost user as well, of course.
Great Tailwind. Roost also gets Helping Hand.
That's right.
Which is like, why would they give a Helping Hand to another Pokemon that doesn't have hands?
Zapdos is just gonna clap its wings. And that's how it's gonna help.
That's how it's gonna help.
Helping wings.
And that's people aren't using Helping Hand on it right now.
Good.
But one set that I think is underexplored on Zapdos is I would love to see a comeback for Substitute. on it.
Sub-Zapdos. I could see that, though. Honestly, I definitely think we're trending that direction right now. Actually, bulky Zapdos is definitely picking up a lot in usage in tournament format, especially.
Yeah. One of the things about being able to run sub on any Pokemon faster than Urshifu is Substitute will actually block a Urshifu move versus Protect will not.
Yep. I think that's why water type Urshifu is more common, though. Because it can break through those subs and still get 1 or 2 hits off afterwards.
Is that how it works?
Because it's a multi-hit move. So Surging Strikes is... Yep. Each hit, if it breaks the sub with 1 hit, then the sub goes down, and the other 2 hits hit the Zapdos underneath.
Huh.
That's the benefit of multi-hit moves into substitutes. Specifically, if your first hit breaks the substitute, then your second hit actually still hits the Pokemon.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I've seen it block Urshifu thing. I wasn't thinking about Rapid Strike.
Yeah, it stops single strike every time because it's 1-hit move. And it blocks any other Pokemon with their single hit moves. But yeah, multi-hit moves are kind of the way around substitute. And unfortunately, they gave that to Water Urshifu. Water Urshifu. Yeah. Galarian Zapdos. Galarian Zapdos is a thing. I guess it's the fastest Defiant user or something like that.
It's the fastest Defiant user that also runs Power Inklet for some reason. Even still, I have seen Power Inklet.
Because
it's
Trick Room Galarian Zapdos, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a thing now. If you haven't been using your Galarian Zapdos in Trick Room, you should be. Obviously, that's exactly the best meta call right now. Galarian Zapdos will just sweep through everything, and you'll win every tournament, including Worlds. 6 Pokemon left alive. No, but in all seriousness, Galarian Zapdos right now is an interesting Pokemon, but not doing too much. It's nice that it can Terra away from fighting type, but that's all it's got in expanding force meta and flutter meta. Galarian Zapdos is kind of struggle busting.
Yeah, it's only got that 125 attack. It's just not enough to pick up KOs.
It's good. It's just not good enough. So,
moving on, we got Moltres.
Indeed, both variants there as well. Cantonian Moltres, I've seen do some interesting bulk things.
Yeah,
and that's about
a bulky flame body user.
Yeah.
Kind of sits there and actually will use helping hand when fire type moves are immune on the other side. And it'll click Roost and hope it gets hit physically so it can burn.
Pretty much.
That's about it.
It's nice that it can Terra, because then it can deal with Urshifu.
I think they all 3 get Tailwinds this generation too.
Yep, they do indeed.
So it's got that going for it.
Yeah, they made the Cantonian birds decent.
If you want that fire flying type that uses Tailwind, don't use Charizard because it doesn't have it. Moltres is your bird.
Yeah, Moltres is just the better fire flying bird right now, all in all, other than obviously Talonflame, which I think is still the one that takes the cake. Gale Wing's too good. Galarian Moltres. Fiery Wrath is really fun. Berserk is pretty decent.
Yep.
There are good ways to like intentionally proc it with Citrus Berry and Substitute and whatnot. But
proc multiple times with that Citrus Berry.
Yep, exactly. But outside of that, Galarian Moltres isn't doing anything new. It's very straightforward mod.
Yep, it's very straightforward. It wants to be trying to roll for those punches by going first with some sort of speed control.
Yep.
And that's kind of how it goes. It really, really does depend on Buddy.
Yeah. Galarian Moltres needs speed control and HP support, like Life Dew and whatnot, is really helpful for it because it wants to be taking damage. It wants to get hit and go under 50% to activate its ability and get that special attack boost so that it can then retaliate and do more damage.
But it's also kind of a Terra thing.
Yeah. It usually wants to take Terra Poison or Terra Steel.
Yeah.
And use one of those to its advantage as an ability to counter the Fluttermanes. Again, as always, Fluttermane. But moving on down the list here.
Yep.
Keeping it going. Typhlosion is back. There's no point in talking about regular Typhlosion. I think everybody knows it. It's too limited of a move pool and not a good move pool for a special attacker. Sucks to suck. Typhlosion's always been in that boat.
Not only that, why does it have 109 special attack? Why was Gen 2 such a weird stat distributed?
Gen 2 was absolutely
generation?
the weirdest starters in terms of stat distribution. Absolutely. Meganium being the only one that's remotely decent back in Gen 2. Just because Leech
It makes
Seed
me
and
wonder
Razor Leaf.
if they were actually thinking about the math or they were just trying to give them different numbers at that point.
Probably just trying to give them different numbers. Thankfully, they did put the math into the Hisuian variant, and Hisuian Typhlosion loves to hold a Choice Scarf and click Eruption.
Yep, and it makes you love to guess whether or not it's going to Terra or not. The answer is it will always Terra.
And then when you believe that it will Terra, it doesn't.
Do it. Don't. It's okay.
The one time you believe that it's going to Terra is the one time it doesn't. Just going to tell you that up front. You know, but seriously though, fast fire type.
I've never lost against a Hisuian Typhlosion. I've been able to. I think this entire month, I've 100% called every Terra right there.
I got blasted by one the last time I played against it, which was already a little while ago now, but like, still, it 4-0'd my entire team because I couldn't stop it at first.
That's why I think I've always beaten it, because it scared me enough.
Yeah.
To make the prediction.
Yep. If that thing is able to outspeed your team, it will just erupt everywhere and say goodbye. And if you don't have a Heatran in the back to take that eruption, you might as well click GG and battle cancel.
Yep.
Next up on the list is the interesting Dondozo counter.
Quagsire.
Yep.
Quagsire, the thing that Dondozo was back in Gen 2.
Pretty much.
Unaware wall. The unaware wall. That's exactly what Quagsire is.
Yep. Quagsire best at being the wall, though, in comparison to Dozo.
Super, super, super duper underrated and underexplored Pokemon right here, in my opinion. This is not a joke.
I agree.
Especially, I just think Unaware is one of the best abilities, flat out. Not only that, it's a Pokemon that has Water Absorb. So you're going to be giving yourself that immunity. So you could go for like a Terra Rock, Terra Fire. What else is weak to water? Ground. You could go for an offensive ground Terra with this one. Not worry about those water winds.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of play that it could see. Except for the fact that it has a really shallow move pool. And it is not an offensive powerhouse. Don't get me wrong. It's got enough to do what it needs to do. To get some, and it can wall. It's just kind of awkward a little bit to use, and I think it would have had a lot better of a time in the previous rule set. But I think the more I see Clodsire doing well, its counterpart.
Clodsire though has way different typing. I feel like that matters a lot here. The poison type coverage, honestly.
I just think as far as Unaware goes, um,
Yeah,
I think Unaware plus a Terra is always going to be good in some regard somewhere.
I
And being
agree.
able
I think
to
Quagsire is
wall
incredibly
out
good
setup,
in singles, at least. In any setup metas or setup matchups, Quagsire will just sit there and put them to sleep with Yawn.
but speaking of stopping up setup, though, I mean, it doesn't need it, but you got Haze on this Pokemon too.
Fair, yeah, true. Helping
So
to
if you're
stop the
running that
setup for the
water,
rest of the team.
if you're running Water Absorb, you can run Haze and still stop that setup.
Yeah, nice, nice. Continuing on down the list, we got the Galarian Slowking coming in now, which there are a couple of teams using. They're all really niche. Galarian Slowking is still a weird Pokemon with a very odd ability that is useful in very extremely rare scenarios, like after close combat or something like that. It can help clear the stat drops on your Pokemon. It can help counter Intimidate, but like
That's positionally really counterintuitive.
it's very not incredible. And it will continue to be so. So we're not going to discuss it too much.
Moving
Next.
I think that Quillfish is Heathwing Quillfish is an underexplored Pokemon right now.
I think that actually, yeah, Hisuian Quillfish might be worth discussing as an unevolved Pokemon.
It's
Because it still gets Swift Swim and Intimidate as
and
ability
got
options.
the Eviolite. Let me check the defenses on this one really quick.
It's good enough. 85,
well,
55.
with 85 defense right there, that is gonna be huge with an Eviolite.
Yeah. So this thing is an interesting tank with Eviolite.
And Intimidate.
Yep. So yeah, Hisuian Quillfish has an interesting niche to fit. It has a really good variety of moves that it gets access to as well, like Barb Barrage, which one deals double damage to poisoned Pokemon, but also has like a 30% chance to poison Pokemon as well, which is phenomenal. And then Dark Poison typing, we've already seen, is phenomenal. Offensive and defensive type coverage. Thanks to Alolan Muck. We learned that one firsthand. Very, very well. Hisuian Sneasel, I don't feel like does anything of importance. Sneasler, definitely. But
yeah,
the Sneasel, meh, whatever.
Sneasel, that's for Smogon.
Yeah. Uxie, Meesprit, and Azelf. I guess we can kind of cover Uxie and Meesprit at the same time because they basically do the same thing.
Yep.
In this gen,
they set up Trick Room.
They set up Trick Room, and then they can click Mystical Power, which I think that's the name of their unique new move that they got access to. Yep, Mystical Power. So what it does is it always boosts special attack by one stage every time you use it. And it's a 70 base power, 90% accurate psychic type move. So it's pretty decent. All three of the Lake Spirits got it in PLA. And it's a niche strat, but it has its own benefits. You know, putting a Meesprit on a team and then clicking Mystical Power in the late game if you're like a Scarf Meesprit can catch opponents off guard. For sure. You know? Because nobody looks at it on a team sheet on ladder and expects you to do much with Meesprit. Azelf does the same thing, but also explodes.
Azelf explodes every time.
It can do the same thing, but it mostly explodes. I think that's the better phrasing, yeah. It could Mystical Power if it wanted to.
What I would like to see out of Azelf would be Future Sight and then Explode.
Yeah, that's actually not a terrible idea either, though. Future Sight and then Explode. I could make that work, I think.
But
yeah.
Yeah. Heatran.
Yep. On to one of the biggest meta threats, Heatran. We've covered it quite a bit already today, so I don't think we need to go into too much more detail on it already. It's the best grass type.
It's the best grass type. That's just how it goes right now.
Yeah. Terra Grass Heatran is literally the most common Terra on Heatran, and it is one of the most common terrestrializations on the field whenever it is brought to a match. Heatran just with Terra Grass is so difficult to KO quickly and can do a lot of consistent damage.
You know what it's not doing right now that it could do?
What?
Body press.
Heatran could body press. It has a solid defense, but it's not better than its special attack, though. And I think that's the main reason why they're not clicking body press.
I think it'd be cool because it would give it a way to do physical damage without investing into any attack.
True. But I mean, if you're going to do that, just click Heavy Slam. Then you also get Stab, and you're one of the heaviest Pokemon in existence. Like, Heatran is thick.
It's true.
Almost 1,000 pounds. It's actually not anywhere near as heavy as I thought that thing was. There are a lot heavier Pokemon out there. Anyway, Cresselia is next, and everybody knows what that thing does. It's the best Pokemon to set Trick Room.
Oh, right.
You leaned the wrong way.
I'm still getting used to cameras.
Clearly.
There we go.
Ding, 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 ding. Cresselia. Over what is your left shoulder.
There we go. Right there.
Yep. Yeah.
Easy to do when I don't look at the camera.
Right. Lunar Blessing's the only thing that it got new, and I feel like that's pretty straightforward. It cures and heals. That's all.
The very first time I used Cresselia, this regulation, I was battling against Moxie Boosted on stream.
No, jeez.
And everybody was like, is it gonna Lunar Dance? And then he just started saying, don't do it, Cresselia, it's not worth it.
Lunar Dance Cresselia, that would be interesting.
I ended up using it.
Lunar Dance or Lunar Blessing?
Lunar Dance. So I didn't play PLA. Well, I still haven't.
Isn't Lunar Dance the self KO move?
Yeah, Lunar Blessing is a self KO move, and it's not great. What it does do is it restores PP, but that's really
Lunar Dance is so weird.
It is so weird, and if you don't have something in the back that's alive that wants it, you're not getting the mileage out of it.
Nope, not at all. Next up on the list here is Samurott. I don't think anybody's really trying to use Unova Samurott. But Hisuian Samurott's really cool. Ceaseless Edge is a really good move, and Sharpness is a great ability.
I'm so skeptical.
I mean, I don't think it's, like a meta threat, but I think the Pokemon has its niche, and I think it does solid. It's better than its counterpart for sure. With access to Sharpness, it can do a lot more damage, and Ceaseless Edge setting up spikes is still useful. True, but Sharpness didn't exist previously.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just a new access to both of them. But, yeah. I've seen like Assault Vest, Terra Fairy, Hisuian Samurotts do pretty decent, but
you could run Focus Energy and be that third Urshifu form.
Oh my goodness!
That Wolf is talking about
third form of Urshifu. That's well. Next up is Lilligant, Hisuian Lilligant. Yeah, it's just Lilligant but physical.
Yeah, Lilligant but physical and faster.
Yep, a little bit faster, and it has fighting type stab. So that's cool. It gets Axe Kick, which is neat, but nobody's using it because it's not 100% accurate, and I get that. Yeah. Basculin is next. I don't think anybody's really using Eviolite Basculin right now. Like, Adaptability Eviolite, I guess, could maybe be a niche for Aqua Jet, but No, just use
No more skipping
adaptability on
that.
a Basculegion at least.
Zoroark.
Yes.
People should be using Hisuian Zoroark. This Pokemon is very, 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 very good. There is not a single Pokemon in this game that can bluff so hard. And bluffing is one of
True.
the strongest things you can do, even with an open team sheet.
Oh yeah,
Being
because
able
not
to,
taking it to the first two matches and then bringing it to your third, oh my goodness.
or bringing it only to game one just to make them think
Yeah.
about it every other set.
Yep. Oh yeah, Hisuian Zoroark is a menace. Immunity to
Not
three
only that,
types is huge.
but you can mitigate the fact that it's open team sheet with sparing same moves on with at least 3 or 4 other Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that fourth move to spare could be Protect with any of them.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, Hisuian Zoroark being immune to three different things or three different types and being able to just pretend
Another
to
thing
be
about it,
a different
it,
Pokemon.
you think it needs the focus sash? Believe it or not, it's bulkier than Fluttermane physically and
True.
can get away with not having to run focus sash.
Yeah, you just have to kind of build it to actually be a little bit bulkier instead of building it for 100% speed and damage.
Oh, I build 100% speed and damage, and I still live his.
Fair enough. Hisuian Braviary. Interesting Pokemon. Nobody's using it. Its stat distribution is just worse than regular Braviary. I'm sorry, Hisuian Braviary. You were amazing in Legends Arceus, and you're not great in the regular game. Kind of expected that, though. That's okay. Next,
That's
Tornadus.
flying type.
It's an okay flying type, but like we've got better called Tornadus and Thunderous and Enamorous and less so Landorus because it only can really use Terra Blast. But anyway, Thunderous
We got
or
the
Tornadus. I mean.
universal weather setter.
Yep, Tornadus clicks Tailwind, it clicks Weather and Bleak Wind Storm and Taunt. Tornadus.
And Swagger.
Oh yeah, Swagger sometimes too. Thunderous does Thunder Wave, Taunt, Wild Bolt Storm, and usually other electric type things, or Swagger. A lot of the same, really. It also clicks Rain Dance sometimes. Therian form Thunderous.
Yeah. Wild Bolt Storm.
Yeah.
Pretty huge move.
Especially
coming off of the highest special attack stat in the game. That's of a non-restricted legendary, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Thunderous Therian. 145, if I remember correctly.
It does not get better than 145, I don't think.
Not currently. I don't believe. Yeah. Landorus. Sheer Force Landorus is pretty good right now. Sludge Bomb on it is actually a really good Fluttermane counter, ironically. Or not really good, but it's a pretty decent Fluttermane counter. Otherwise, Landorus Therian is Landorus Therian. It does Landorus Therian things. Those haven't changed since like Gen 5. Get over it. Chestnut. Chestnut is Chestnut. Chestnut does Chestnut things. There's not a lot of those.
No, and Chestnut is really weird because it gets bulletproof and will Terra Ghost, and your coverage is gone.
Yeah. But like at the same time, the thing is still not the strongest out there. It basically is like a different version of the Iron Defense body press shenanigans. You know, it does what Doxpun does.
I've been walled out by Chestnut more times than any other Pokemon doing that same strategy.
Really?
In Regulation D, yes, I have been walled out by Chestnut a couple times.
All right, so I guess it's not actually anywhere near as bad as I was thinking. I mean, I know it's not bad, but it's very underused still. Delphox, though, is definitely underused.
Yep, it's got that Magician, and I recently saw, I think it was Pokesports, using the, was it Blunder Policy?
Yeah, I think so.
With the Hypnosis roll for the Mist.
Yep. Interesting sets. Very Very niche, very best of one ladder kind of strats, though. Those are the only things that really
Very
work with
much so.
Delphox. Greninja, oh the mighty, how the mighty hath fallen. The lack of battle bond being as busted as it used to be means Greninja is not what it ever once was. Also, having lost the capability of protein, that nerf really
And
hit it hard.
Battle Bond also being able to be hazed now.
Yeah. So like both of those nerfs, Greninja, how the mighty hath fallen. Good mon,
Good
2
job.
squish. It does one unique thing, and that is Water Shuriken. That is the one
Yeah,
unique thing that Greninja does.
priority lucky dice, and it does things like that.
Priority loaded dice, yeah, Water Shuriken. 4 to 5 hits every time would be pretty good. Good damage. Yeah, they brought back Carbink. That's a thing, I guess. Goodra. Hisuian Goodra is good. Hisuian Goodra is very good.
It's got good in the name. Just use it. It's not boring. It's exciting. You just have to use its coverage properly.
It does have good in the name, and I didn't even think of that, but yeah. Hisuian good raw.
Doing good, Raw.
It is good. It is very good. Shelter, Body Press, Heavy Slam, Protect, or Life Do. I mean, 99% of the time you're running the same thing. Every now and then you run an AV set and pick up some extra moves. But
Yep.
this thing is very bulky, very hard to KO. Shell Armor is a great ability to counter Urshifu, and Sap Sipper is really good to counter Amoonguss, so...
It is better than regular Gudra in every way, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They gave it a better typing. And I mean, that's all regular Goodra even needed. Better typing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on, he's doing Avalug. If you're using this, you're crazy.
If you're using this, you're crazy, but also still send me the team.
Yeah, send it to Lindsay.
Decidueye, if you're using that
Do
thing,
not.
cool.
Yeah, Decidueye and Decidueye and just regular Decidueye. If you can't figure out a 6 Pokemon and just want something cool, both of these are some pretty cool looking Pokemon.
Hisuian Decidueye with triple arrows and Scrappy is actually really niche and really interesting. Scrappy is a really good ability.
I think the way I've seen Decidueye ran is with a power item.
Yeah, on Trick Room team.
Lowering, on the Trick Room team, because it has the speed stat to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, regular Decidueye is
not
neat.
in it.
I wonder how Decidueye could end up working, like the Ghost Decidueye, regular Decidueye, into Perish Trap, because Spirit Shackle, its unique move, does prevent opponents from switching out, if I remember right. So that's kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah, but even then, like, let me run bold.
It is what it is, though. You know, it's
Bramble Gas, because I don't even think it can do Bramble Gas thing. It just doesn't even hold up like a Rocky Helmet Bramble Gas.
Probably not. I mean,
no, we're wrong. We're all running Decidueye wrong. Oh my god. Wait, wrong Decidueye.
Long Reach is also a really good ability on it, too, though. The ability to ignore physical contact.
Wait, hold on. I just found out how to use Decidueye.
Hit me. Go.
It's so you know that Rocky Helmet Bramble Gas set?
Mm-hmm.
Decidueye gets the same typing benefits to against the water Urshifu.
True.
And it has better stats for defenses.
True. It's not immune to genies, though.
This is true. It's not immune to genies, and that's probably where Bramble Gas fits in.
I think so, yeah.
To a better need. But if you're not really caring about your genie matchup, and you want a little bit better of an Urshifu matchup, I could definitely see Decidueye being ran. Maybe that's what I might need to do. Maybe I just try and copy paste that and then test it out later. That might be
Run something with the Decidueye.
Mm-hmm.
An interesting mon for sure. Next up, we've got one of the biggest staples of VGC from Sword and Shield, Rillaboom. Surprise, surprise!
We got,
The Boom
we
Master's
got,
back.
yeah, we got the monkey.
The Gorilla Boomster.
Yeah, we got the tech that everybody's been begging for to be good again. Goodbye, our believers. Hello, Rillaboomers.
Yep. Welcome back to Grassy Terrain meta, even without Grassy Glide. Even without high horsepower, Rillaboom is incredibly dominant. Fake out U-turn, drum beating, or wood hammer, and knockoff or stomping tantrum being pretty much the most common attacks.
Question:
on it.
Didn't Woodhammer used to miss?
I don't believe so. I do believe it's been 100% accurate, but just like 25% recoil or 33% recoil or something annoying like that.
I don't know why, but I always used to think it could miss.
It's the same as Flare Blitz. Literally just a grass type Flare Blitz.
It is grass type Flare Blitz. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, Rillaboom does Rillaboom things. Nothing new to cover on that guy. He's very strong currently. He really loves being able to terrestrialize away from Will-O-Wisps.
Yep, he likes being fire.
Yep. On the subject of fire, Cinderace is back. Not doing so hot like it was before. Protein, once again, and Libero getting nerfed, being the main protagonist in that storyline. Cinderace, or main antagonist, I mean, but Cinderace still can do some niche things like court change, which is kind of cool. You know, your opponent sets up a Tailwind and you court change, and then you have Tailwind. But you have to also survive, you know, your opponent's partner attack into your Cinderace to use the court change, which usually doesn't work. Cinderace is too squishy.
Or make a really smart swap.
Yeah, true. Cinderace just is not in the meta that it was in with Dynamax. It can't take the hits that it used to with Dynamax when you could double its HP. So it can't survive the things that would normally do a lot of damage to it. It just kind of goes, hi, bye.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on, we got Inteleon. Inteleon is, for those of you who don't know what Sniper does, it increases the critical hit move's power, going from 150% to 225%.
Yeah, it's a 1.5 increase on the power of critical hits. It's absurd.
And this is combined with its signature move, Snapshot, which ignores opposing moves and abilities.
Yep, so it ignores redirection. It ignores abilities like Storm Drain as well, actually, which is cool. And it also, if I remember, it has a high critical hit chance. So running Focus Energy on Sniper and Inteleon with Snipe Shot is like almost a guaranteed critical hit chance with Focus Energy and Scope Lens, if I remember right. And it's kind of busted. Yeah.
Yep.
But Inteleon does exactly that, and that's it.
Yep. That's about it.
You can Terra Ice for some fun ice shenanigans, I guess. Maybe,
but are we doing that really?
No, let's be real. Nobody's really hitting that Inteleon button too hard right now.
All right, let's talk about the bear in the room that nobody's talking about.
The bear in the room that everybody's talking about?
No, I'm talking about Cubfu.
Oh, you're going to the under-evolved. Okay. Yeah,
no,
nobody's talking about Cubfu.
Nobody's talking about Cubfu.
However, Urshifu is everywhere.
Urshifu is in every single game of Pokemon right now, and it needs to stop.
Would be nice.
We need Mold Breaker to hit Urshifu hard.
Yeah, you know, Tinkaton I think is about the only good Pokemon. Tinkaton and Haxorus are, I think, the only two
viable options into Urshifu.
Yeah, I think they're the only two currently in the meta. However, the fact that those moves always crit is kind of the downside, because Mold Breaker doesn't stop Surging Strikes or Wicked Blow from critting.
No, actually, I think I'm thinking of Mold Breaker wrong. I'm looking into it really quick, and it.
No, you might be right though, because Mold Breaker is only for when you're attacking that Pokemon, I think.
Yeah, so it doesn't. We need a reverse Mold Breaker. Give us a way to stop Unseen Fist outside of Skill Swap.
We have one.
We have Pikaton.
No, we have one way. It's just it doesn't exist in this gen yet, and it's called Galarian Wheezing. Or actually, Wheezing in general. Neutralizing Gas.
Yeah, we need Neutralizing Gas.
Yep. One day.
Could happen. It really could.
DLC is my assumption.
It's critical hitting, though. That's about it.
Yep, Urshifu's going around clicking critical hits and Sword Stance every now and then because they decided to just make Urshifu stronger by giving it Sword Stance.
Hear me out. I think that Urshifu can get away with dropping the priority.
I most of the time agree, although I think Urshifu needs priority to be able to be a late game sweeper and handle itself in late game scenarios most of the time specifically. Like, Flutter Mane is the biggest reason why Urshifu runs priority, I think. For Flutter Mane, and like nothing else, literally. But Flutter Mane is still that important and that common that you kind of have to put that move slot for it.
I think there's an argument to be made for, like, if you're running Urshifu, I think you should consider maybe like running Ice Punch instead of Aqua Jet or Sucker Punch if you think your team can handle Flutter Mane on its own.
Or if you're running Psychic Terrain, you know.
Or if you're running Psychic Terrain,
counter your own
way underexplored tactic is Indeedee support with Urshifu. True.
But moving past Urshifu, because everybody already knows what that thing does. If you don't, play some ladder, you'll find out. Regieleki. We got Regieleki coming up next here. Super good electric type Pokemon. Really, really fast. Transistor got nerfed. And it's not as strong as it used to be, that's for sure. It doesn't pick up the KOs like it used to. All it does is it spreads decent damage and a lot of speed control. Although Terra normal gem explosion.
Not the Electro Web, the it spread electric move. That was the only. You didn't need to do any more damage than that because Transistor was that good.
Electro Cage, I think, or whatever it is.
Electro Cage, or what's the spread one that would lower speed?
I think it's called Electro Cage or Thunder Cage or something like that.
Thunder Cage, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, Thunder Cage.
Yeah, Thunder Cage was all you needed on it before, but now you have to be running like Thunder or something else like that if you want to be picking up KOs without some sort of shenanigans, in my opinion.
So Thunder Cage traps the target inside a cage of electricity that inflicts damage for 4 to 5 turns.
We're thinking of the wrong move. Is it Electro Web?
Electro Web is the speed reducing move.
Yeah, that's one I was.
It's like 55 base power. It's not unique to it though.
No, it's not. But it was the only move you needed to run into the field to pick up KOs.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. So here's going back to that subject of Perish Trap before. Regieleki, Thunder Cage, traps him for 4 to 5 turns. That's a strat. Flutter Mane Aleki, Perish Song, Thunder Cage, boom.
Yep.
Oh no. That's a really good bluff of the Regieleki Explode too. Heck, you could also give it a normal gem and send it in and just click Explosion afterwards. You Thunder Cage, Perish Song, Explode. Oh my goodness, that's insane. Alright, time to look into Regieleki more on that specific move. Thunder Cage for Perish Trap. Weird concept, but it might work. After a Lucky we have, guess what?
Charizard head. We got Regidrago.
Charizard head. Yes, Regidrago. Take it away.
Regidrago, and it is making a comeback like nobody's business. It did not get nerfed.
Nope.
And it probably should have at this point.
Yep.
Looking at how much success it's been having recently, one of the biggest things that it has different is that Dragon Energy with 150 base stab power.
So much damage.
Basically being able to click Dragon type Eruption.
It is. Yeah. Dragon type Eruption is really good. Obviously Hisuian Typhlosion is basically the same kind of thing as Regidrago with the really high speed and just clicking high spread damage moves that do a lot of damage. Regidrago loves to take advantage of its ability for that instead of weather.
Yes, and do not let its HP stat deceive you with those defenses, please. It has one of the highest base HP stats, but it also has two of the lowest defense stats in the game to come with that.
Yeah. Hit it with a priority sucker punch.
Hit it with a sucker punch, exactly. Just do something to hit it with some priority or punch it before it goes and does its Dragon Energy thing in your face.
Yep. Terra Steel is a huge help for it, too, being able to give it something to stop fairy types.
Cover for Flutter.
Yeah, and to cover for Fluttermane specifically.
Yep.
Next up, we have the Horsies, both of which are doing fantastic. Glastrier is still incredible in Trick Room. Not seeing a lot of usage right now, but its base stat total is still phenomenal, and overall the Pokemon is incredible. So even if it's not seeing a lot of usage, it definitely still has a niche that it can fill. It's a very strong Trick Room attacker.
It is also... It speed ties with Amoonguss, so it is also a Amoonguss answer outside of Trick Room and inside.
Yeah. Yeah, the speed tie is a little unfortunate when Amoonguss decides to just get lucky, but you can also build your Glastrier intentionally to counter Amoonguss very easily in that same sense.
Very rarely are Amoonguss running that min speed, though.
Exactly. So you always know your Amoonguss matchup, whether you're running a 0-speed Glastrier or if you invest a little bit of speed to guarantee outspeeding your regular uninvested Amoonguss.
Exactly.
Spectrier coming in next.
Spectrier I saw yesterday in the tournament, actually.
Oh, fun.
It was running Drain Kiss, I think Shadow Ball. Oh no, it wasn't Shadow Ball, it was Hex. Draining Kiss, Protect, and what was the last move?
Will-O-Wisp or maybe Thunder Wave or something. Usually it's some kind of support move.
I think it was Protect.
You said Protect already, though.
I did? Okay.
I feel like Will-O-Wisp would make the most sense.
I think, they were running Will-O-Wisp.
Along with Hex.
Yep.
Yeah. Spectrier is really fast.
This is not the Grass Haunts, though. The Grass Haunts is the Spectrier that we both love and cherish.
Spectrier in general is really good. I quite enjoy it. Even this version is actually surprisingly capable.
And I know this is a detail that isn't competitive. Shiny Spectrier is immaculate.
This is true.
Give it to me now, Game Freak. Just do it.
Please. Weirdeer for PLA mod. Almost there. Weirdeer. Interesting.
Intimidate, Trick Room.
Yep. Intimidate and Trick Room at the same time. And Psy Shield Bash makes it actually fairly tanky on the physical side especially, so it's a pretty decent Pokemon. It's not like overly slow or overly bulky, so it doesn't necessarily hard fit into Trick Room, but that also makes it a really good Imprison Trick Room user too. More
Hear me out.
versatility.
I think it's got a pretty similar speed to Gothtel.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it has a niche as a trick room setter without imprisoning. I think there's a place for it.
Oh yeah. It's just a little
I
bit
don't think it's a
faster than
bad
some of
place
the
either.
others. You know, it's faster than
Yeah.
Hatterene. It's actually still slower than Armrouge and Indeedee, so there is that. But it's faster, I think, than Farigiraf. Farigiraf might be faster than it as well, which would make sense as an imprisoned Trick Roomer. But yeah. Weirder's a neat mon.
Moving on.
Cleavor sets rocks and
That's rock.
does some good damage. Yeah. It does
Yeah.
good damage, and it sets down stealth rocks, which is really annoying. VGC people don't ever remember stealth rocks or spikes. And then they play against Cleavor and Hisuian Samurott, and they're like, oh my god, it's so much residual damage.
Yep. And that's about all it does. Moving on.
Yep.
Uh,
Moon Bear.
Moon Bear.
Moon
The
Bear
best-
does Moon Bear
The
things.
best bear. The big bear.
Ursaluna gets burned by a flame orb, and then clicks Facade, and facades all over you.
All right. You ready for? I'm going to drop something that I'm going to be doing this next week right now on the
Go.
podcast. Look out. I'm going to be running Sleep Talk Ursaluna this week and seeing how it goes.
It's not a bad strat. Are you running a choice
gonna
item
be-
on there too? Or
No, you can't. I'm running. I'm just going to be running Testo Resto.
oh, you're gonna run chest rest. Chesto rest.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Testo Resto. Like, yeah. So I'm going to either go into move or I'm going to roll the dice for the guts move.
Yeah, fair.
Then it's going to be either Facade or Headlong Rush.
Nice. Yeah, Ursaluna is very strong. Really good ground normal type. It does a lot of damage in Trick Room. Go watch one of the 10,000 YouTube videos on Ursaluna. There's a lot. Basculegion. Basculegion is really fast in rain with Swift Swim.
Yep, and it's got adaptability. It's got two forms to it as well. There's a special attacking form and a physical attacking form.
Yep. I remember at the physical form right now is doing better because Last Respects is also really, really, really good when you're the last Pokemon and you have Rain Up and Tailwind. Like, you're the fastest thing on the field and nothing can stop you from just one-hit KOing it with a 300 base power Last Respects. It's pretty great.
Except for basically like a stab sucker punch from anything.
Yeah, true.
It really kind of does need that Terra.
Or it needs that threat cleared first. You know,
Yeah.
one or the other. Sneasler.
Yeah.
Unburdened.
This is doing a lot of things with items. Oh,
All of them with its item.
For about 2.5 weeks of Regulation D this month, I would say people were crying on Twitter great about people running Dire Claw Sneasler.
Dire Claw is so good, though. It's such a terrible move. Goodness, I don't like Dire Claw, but I do. It's good. Sneasler is really good, people. It's really fast. It has a really good special attack, or not a special attack stat, really good physical attack stat. And with Unburden, once it utilizes its ability and uses its item either being Grassy Seed or Mirror Herb or something like that, you know, paired alongside Tornadus or Thunderous with Prankster Swagger, or the Grassy Seed next to Rillaboom, Sneasler then just kind of pops off and does a lot of damage. Terra Flying, Acrobatics also being a great additional coverage move on it.
Yeah. One of the things it also gets quick guard. So your Sneasler answer can also be the Sneasler.
That's right. It can counter Fake Out and other priority moves with Quick Guard.
And going on down the list is
Yes.
Overquill.
Overquill is a lot like Basculegion, but it's not a water type.
And we also talked about Quillfish earlier. He's doing Quillfish.
Yes.
So there's not really too much of a big difference that these two are doing with each other, other than item. If you want to run a different item than Eviolite and don't care about having that bit of extra bulk, then you would definitely want to run in the
Overquill. Yeah. Yep. Overquill's better for having an item.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, having an item with the typing is
great.
Is so good.
Poison Dark.
I really think you could with Overquill, you could run the ground resist berry.
Probably, yeah. Shuka.
Probably
Shukaberry.
Yeah, Shukaberry and Intimidate.
Yeah. Intimidate on it's really good. I feel like I see Swift Swim more frequently, but like both are not amazing.
It gets access to those water type moves to cover still.
Yep.
And I think that's about it for Overquill.
Yeah. Last Pokemon worth covering, Enamorus and Enamorus Therian. I don't see much of the Therian form yet, although it is good for Trick Room. It's a really slow Pokemon, and Overcoat is a good ability in Trick Room. It provides it an innate immunity to Amoonguss as well, which is nice.
From my understanding, too, this is a fairly difficult Pokemon to get in Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Definitely not easy. And the biggest problem...
big reason why it's not in the scene yet is just because people are still soft resetting to get their zero speed Therian form.
Well, that's the hard part there. You can't soft reset for a zero speed Therian form with much consistency because of how IVs work in PLA. So a zero speed IV in PLA is anywhere from like a 0 to 9 in the regular game in how it translates. But what that means is you don't know what your speed IV is until you transfer it into home, which means you have to have also hard saved the PLA file to put it into home to then check if it's a zero speed. Because the stats are also different.
This is anti-fun.
Yeah, Enamorus Therian zero speed is not going to exist competitively outside of Genning for a long time. Until they give us a different way to hunt said Pokemon. Currently, it is just effectively non-doable. Because
you know what?
It's so late in the game.
Coming out in Pokemon Go raids. And
it will eventually.
Raids. I think that's probably going to be the only way we ever see a zero speed.
That's going to be the most likely and reasonable until they give us like a next gen's remake, which is going to be like Gen 5 remakes or whatever, which will probably have Enamorus available within it for something that we can soft reset.
We could also potentially get Genies in DLC.
We already have, well, maybe, but I mean,
like a way to capture them.
True, yeah. In the second half of DLC, we might. That's a good point.
And there would be like our workaround into being able to get this Pokemon actually in the meta, because the
with a zero speed at least
being able to just get, and you gotta be running the zero speed to be competitive at that speed tier.
Yeah, because it's a little bit faster than Amoonguss. If I remember right, it's a base 40 speed instead of base 30. And actually, it's Therian form 46, so it's even faster than that. Yeah. So like it's slow, but it's not slow enough to function without that zero speed. It really needs that in Trick Room.
But it does get Overcoat, so it does not worry about Amoonguss thing.
True. But that benchmark is still kind of the speed benchmark in Trick Room. Regular Enamorus does good though. Springtide Storm is pretty good. a spread fairy move is nice. It's sad that it's not as accurate as Dazzling Gleam and doesn't get accuracy boost in the rain, but, you know, it's a pretty good Pokemon. Contrary is obnoxious. You can swagger the thing. You can intimidate into it from your opponent's side, and it just loves to get stronger every single time.
Yep. And one of the best things about it too is that though is like, in my opinion, is there is counterplay with haze users in this meta. You do not need to be running the prankster haze in order to counter this Pokemon. Because almost every single time that it is getting a stat bump from a partner Pokemon, it is coming from a prankster. So you let the prankster happen first. You just make sure you're using a haze user that beats that 106.
So Chen-Pao.
And yes. I think we got a couple others that beat 106.
Maybe, but Chen-Pao is the only main one in competitive usage.
Articuno's
not faster.
I really think that if there's going to be pickup in Enamorous play, I think we're going to also need to see Chen-Pao haze.
Yeah.
But I think if we're deep enough into the meta where if that was going to happen, it probably already would have.
Yep, true. Honestly, I agree. I think Enamorous is okay, but I don't think it's doing incredible right now. But that's going to be it for today's episode. Normally we would do random calcs here, but we've been going on for quite a little while, longer than usual here, so we're going to call it done.
This has been a super video. We wanted to go over literally
really wanted to go over all of them
new.
And give them at least enough love to acknowledge what they're doing so far. So next week we'll be covering yeah, exactly. But next week we'll be covering the Pikalytics analytics and all of the data that we get out of Pikalytics and the available tournament brackets and everything that we've had in Regulation D. And from here, that's going to be it from us. Once again, everybody, go check out our Discord. Anyway, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, drop us a comment, let us know what your favorite Pokemon is right now and why. And next week, we will also discuss a couple of the most interesting of those comments. Thanks so much, everybody, for checking us out. Have a great time. We'll see you next week.